All right, YouTube friends, it's time that we had a little chat about authenticity. Authenticity on the internet, especially in the realm of social media, is kind of a tricky thing to think about because you're always being mediated, which is kind of like you're always lying, but you're not really lying. I mean, think about the number of times that you've staged an elaborate Instagram that makes you look effortless and wild and free. Maybe that's just me that does that. Maybe you don't do that. Maybe you think I'm gross for doing that, but I've done it a lot of times. But like we talked about in the selfhood video, there is no one self. So when you're performing a version of yourself on various social media platforms, it's not quite like you're lying. You're just performing a version of yourself, but you're also not being entirely truthful. And people on the internet are kind of oddly obsessed with the truth. It's good not to be duped by the internet. It's good not to believe everything that you read on the internet. But that idea gets kind of complicated when we think about YouTube and when we think about performance on the internet. Scholars like Kimberly Ann Hall have examined what it means that people are kind of obsessed with foxing out the truth on the internet. Her article examines one video blog in particular that fans kind of started to be suspicious of. They started to think, this all seems to be working out too well to be an actual real video diary. Something that people maybe thought about Cecily's video diary. And one of the things that Kimberly Hall talks about is that people, they did find out that it was a staged video series, that it was being put out by a professional organization, and people were a lot more impressed by the investigators that kind of foxed out the truth than they were by the actual video diary. Fans were kind of disappointed that the videos weren't authentic. But then, as Hall points out, that really distracts us from the quality or the content of the videos themselves. We kind of cease to look at them as content, and we become kind of, I think she would think, wrongly obsessed with their authenticity. In a way similar to the video diary that Kimberly Ann Hall examines, I am not upfront about not being Cecily anywhere in my Cecily videos. In fact, I was a little hesitant to shoot these videos and put them in the same place as the Cecily videos because I wanted to continue that fallacy that Cecily was real and creating these videos. I didn't want to kind of shatter that illusion for some fans, even though a lot of people would probably know, maybe, hopefully, that Cecily is a character from a very famous Oscar Wilde play. Which brings us to J.L. Austin and his book, How to Do Things with Words. Austin's book concerns itself with performative speech. Basically, he's interested in how speech can actually do things. Like, I now pronounce you husband and wife. That actually pronounces two people, man and wife. However, I can't just randomly walk up to two people on the street and say, I now pronounce you husband and wife, and make them husband and wife. Because even though that would be a hilarious joke, and also kind of fundamentally strange to do to two people, that's not how conventions or laws work, so it wouldn't actually do anything. And according to Austin, convention matters deeply when considering performative speech. Another thing that you should know about Austin is that he actually dismisses the possibility for anything in the theater or basically he dismisses any non-ordinary circumstance. An actor on the stage, what he's saying is void or hollow of actual meaning. And you should also know that Derrida will later go on to critique him for this, but we don't need to open that can of worms. Nobody needs to open a Derrida can of worms unless they absolutely have to. So what, I ask you, might Austin make of my little enterprise? He'd almost definitely say that I was being hollow. However, what about the people that don't know that I'm not Cecily? He'd probably say I was still being hollow, but I'm not really so sure that it's that simple. But more than that, I'm not really sure that whether or not my performance is void of meaning or hollow, just because of the fact that it's a performance, really matters all that much in the scheme of what I'm doing. Because my performance, while maybe not performative in the way that Austin talks about, is doing something. In my selfhood video, I say that I'm performing Cecily's identity and her role in the play in order to investigate what's going on with her, in order to understand her further. That's not hollow. Some scholars would say that that's precisely what the internet does for young women. It creates a space for women to play with their identity and determine how they fit into the world. So my project isn't hollow, it's conventional. never exactly aspired to be conventional in my life, but in this case, I think I'll take it.